starter motor's different. It's got like an extra bit on it. I mean, to be completely honest with you, it looks very much the same as a DNWA. This bit's different. So on the 8V, this would usually go into the firewall and then go towards the brake booster, but that's blanked off there, so it must get its vacuum signal from somewhere else. I'm really struggling to find things that are different here. Transfer box is different. What's interesting is on the 8Y and the RSQ3, these are now a service every 20,000 mile item according to Audi service documentation. On the 8V, it was a sealed for life unit. So what was happening was a lot of these started failing. If you know someone or if you've owned an 8V, you will have met someone or know someone that has had a failed transfer box. It is quite common, we do replace a lot of them. They were sealed for life before, now they're a service every 20k item. This just shows that even how they make mistakes, even they kind of change the rules and move the guidelines about a little bit. So now the transfer box is a service every 20k item. Again, even on the 8V, we recommend doing it every 20,000 miles anyway, regardless. If the car is heavily tuned, stage 3, I would do it every 10,000 miles. Same transfer box as the previous gen. It is a different revision. This revision goes into the 8Y and the RSQ3, but other than that, it is more or less the same. Engine block is a DNW engine block, so it's DNW star. The engine code for this engine is a DNWC. The 8V cars were a DNWA and a DAZA, D-A-Z-A. With the engine code being DNW, I'm pretty confident this is going to be exactly the same engine block as the DNWA engine from the 2020 8V. So I don't imagine we'll see any differences from there. Turbocharger is revision M. So that is the same turbocharger they used in the 8V. Yeah, hardware guys, from the outside, just looking at it as it is just now, not a lot to say. It does 99. Every RS3 cylinder head says woke here. Don't see any differences yet. Right, so Stephen's stripped all the ancillaries off on the engine. Nothing to report on the ancillaries. Everything is exactly the same as the 8V. The gearbox casing is slightly different. So you've got an extra mount here. The mount on the old gearbox used to be around here for the selector cable. The way the starter motor mounts on, that's slightly different. There are also 2 extra mounting points here for brackets on the ancillaries. So the gearbox is slightly different. It's a different casing altogether. Regarding the engine itself, nothing to report. It is 100% identical to the 8V engine or the DNWA engine, which was in 2019, 2020 cars. So yeah, nothing to report just now. We're gonna now tear the engine down and see if there's anything different inside and take it from there. Stephen, why are you stressing?
Because I need to take Courtney's back before I have to.
So, same camshaft as the DNWA engine. The DAZA and the DNWA use different camshafts. The intake cam is the same on the DAZA and the DNWA, and the exhaust camshaft on the DNWA is different to the DAZA. This is using the same exhaust camshaft as a DNWA, so again, so far we're still exactly the same as a DNWA engine. Fortunately, nothing else to report at this time. Pistons, part numbers are AC, so pistons are exactly the same as the DNWA. Again, the DAZA and the DNWA use different pistons. The DAZA pistons end in a revision AA and the DNWA end in AC. These are AC pistons. Easy. Nothing to report. DNWA head, and that is a DNWA head part number, so yeah, there we go. It is a DNWA head. I'm going to check the part numbers on the springs and the rockers on the parts database to see if they're the same as well. But so far, all the same. Right, Stephen's now got the upper sump and the lower sump off. Everything looks exactly the same, no changes. Okay, so that's the same oil pump as the DNWA. DNWA and DAZA use different oil pumps. I had a brief look on the parts database. Connecting rods are exactly the same as the DNWA engine. Pistons are the same, bearings are the same, crankshaft is the same. Everything's the same as a DNWA engine basically. So yeah, there's nothing at all to report. Unfortunately, nothing to tell you about on this engine about what's different from the previous RS3 to this RS3, but what I will talk about is what's different from a DAZA and a DNWA. DAZA have different injectors, they've got a different oil pump, they've got a different exhaust camshaft, they also have different pistons, different rods. The DNWA engines have got an oil pressure control solenoid on the side of the block. This, with the revised oil pump, can variate the oil pressure, so when you're when you're cruising in the car, the car reduces the oil pressure for emissions, and when you're obviously above 2,500, 3,000 RPM, there's a solenoid in here, and the solenoid closes to allow more oil pressure to the engine. Again, this is done for emissions. That's another difference between DAZA and DNWA.